Have you noticed Medicare Supplement premiums are increasing higher than normal recently? Or maybe you've heard about the upcoming changes to Part D prescription drug coverage in 2025, and you might be wondering how this will impact your coverage and the overall Medigap market.
How does that affect me?
Will these changes force you to switch to a Medicare Advantage plan? In today's video, we will break down the trends that we are seeing in the Medigap and Part D markets, and we will provide you with the information that you need to confidently navigate these changes. My name is Cameron Giardini, and I help operate our Medicare-focused independent insurance agency called Giardini Medicare. Since we can only cover so much in each video, if you do want to discuss your personal Medicare situation with one of our brokers or another agency that we trust, you can do this by visiting doineedmedicare.com or our website gmedicareteam.com. And there you can click the schedule a free call button. If you don't want to work with us, no problem. All we ask is you subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. 2024 has been a particularly challenging year for those with Medigap plans. Although Medigap coverage remains strong, plan premium increases have been significant, with both Plan G and Plan F seeing average premium hikes of 9.5%, while Plan N experienced a slightly lower increase of 8.5% on average, according to Telos Actuarial. They also report that 2024 Medigap premium increases have been roughly 3% higher on average compared to the last few years. And this is true based on our personal experience with our clients. We also personally looked at the premium increases for Plan F, Plan G, and Plan N for over 30 Medigap insurance companies in our home state of Michigan since 2021. You can see these individual companies' increases here on the screen, but our analysis, it does match the national trends seen by Telos Actuarial, with Medigap plans in Michigan experiencing close to double the average premium increases in 2024 compared to the previous 3 years. This probably won't come as a surprise, but these increases have a drastic impact on the long-term affordability of Medigap plans for consumers like yourself. Although most widespread discussion about Medigap plans on social media is related to how much they cost you at age 65, the simple fact is that your Medigap coverage at age 65, that is likely the cheapest it will ever be. For instance, if you enroll in a Medigap plan that costs $120 per month at age 65, even a modest annual increase of 7% per year would result in that same plan costing around $240 per month by the time you reach age 75, and a staggering $465 per month by age 85. And this is if you're unable to change plans over the years to keep some of those premium increases lower. If we compare these numbers to a survey conducted by eHealth, the premium amounts at age 75 or age 85 would be much higher than the majority of their customers consider to be affordable. To manage these rising costs, some strategies include choosing a more cost-effective Medigap plan like a Plan N, or periodically changing Medigap plans if you can qualify for a new one based on your health in the state that you live in, or if the state you live in provides unique guaranteed issue rights like a birthday rule. However, the reality remains that your Medigap plans will eventually become more expensive over time. Rising premiums may push consumers to consider Medicare Advantage plans as a more affordable alternative, especially when faced with not only the prospect of paying ever-increasing amounts for their Medigap coverage, but as we will discuss shortly, also including rising Part D prescription plan costs, which won't help the overall affordability of Medigap coverage compared to the competition. Before looking at the upcoming Part D changes that will impact the Medigap landscape, let's briefly talk about why Medigap plans might be seeing higher premium increases than usual. We also discuss these factors in more detail in the video that you can see here on the screen, so make sure to watch that one as well. The first factor behind these recent increases is rising loss ratios. A loss ratio is insurance jargon that simply means the percentage of premium dollars an insurance company pays out for medical claims compared to what they collect in premiums from you, the member, and from other members with the plan. For example, if a Medigap plan collects $100 in average premiums per month from its members, and it pays out $80 per month in medical claims for those same members, this would would result in a loss ratio of 80%. Now, if the medical needs of these same plan members were to rise on average to $85 per month and the average monthly premium remains at $100 per month, that same Medigap insurance company would then have a loss ratio of 85%. Instead of absorbing these added costs for their increased medical claims and lowering the plan's profits, the insurance company would instead look to lower its loss ratio back to 80% by increasing the average premiums of its members. In our example, the Medigap insurance company, they could then increase the average monthly premium of their plan by 6.25%, raising that premium to $106.25 per month. Now, the $85 per month that they're spending on medical claims would be 80% of $106.25 per month, which again results in that loss ratio of 80%. Keep in mind that the target loss ratio of 80% is just an example, and each plan might be comfortable with a different loss ratio percentage in the real world. With all this in mind, when companies like Telos Actuarial report that average loss ratios have been increasing by a few percentage points each year in recent years, and they remain elevated in 2024, it's not surprising that Medigap premiums are increasing higher than usual to compensate. Unrelated to this video, if you're interested in the Medigap market as a whole, we do recommend checking out the 2024 Future of Medicare Supplement report that Telos recently published. Just know we are not affiliated with them in any way, despite that we do use a lot of their data to gain insights on the overall Medigap market. Average loss ratios have increased in recent years, in part due to people now having elective medical procedures completed after they were largely deferred due to the pandemic. Telos also reports that claims due to cancer treatments are a large source of overall Medigap claims in 2024. Newly covered Alzheimer's medications can also put upward pressure on Medicare and Medigap spending. Additionally, more states than ever have recently adopted guaranteed issue rights like birthday rules, which allow individuals to switch Medigap plans potentially without medical underwriting during specific time periods. While these rules they do benefit consumers by providing more flexibility, they also tend to lead to higher premiums because insurers have to adjust for the increased risk of covering individuals without considering their health status. Again, according to Telos Actuarial, the average rate increase in birthday rule states such as Kentucky, Louisiana, and Maryland are about 1% higher compared to states lacking these same guaranteed issue rights. Looking ahead, we predict that more insurance companies might close existing blocks of business to remain competitive and manage their loss ratios more effectively. We discussed the topic of opening and closing blocks of business in much more detail in these two videos here on the screen. Now we have to discuss the upcoming changes to the Medicare Part D market and its overall impact on Medigap plans. It is impossible to discuss Medigap coverage without also mentioning Part D plans. Current Medigap plans do not provide coverage for the vast majority of routine prescription medications that you fill at the pharmacy, and this is exactly where Part D plans come into play. These plans, they are provided by private insurance companies, and they are purchased in addition to your Medigap coverage to provide coverage for those routine prescription medications. These Part D plans, they also usually come with separate monthly premiums as well. As we discussed in our previous video, there are several key changes being made to the Medicare Part D system in 2025 due to the Inflation Reduction Act. For the first time ever, a $2,000 out-of-pocket spending cap for covered prescriptions will be implemented. This cap, it ensures that in 2025, you won't spend more than $2,000 out of pocket for prescription medications covered by your Part D plan. Another significant change coming next year is the introduction of the Medicare Prescription Payment Plan. Starting in 2025, this is a voluntary program which allows you to spread out the cost of your medications over the year. If you enroll in this program, instead of paying for your medications upfront at the pharmacy, your Part D plan will cover the cost of those medications on your behalf, and then later they will bill you in monthly installments. This can help you spread the cost out, but it does not lower the overall amount you have to spend on medications medications for the year. For example, if you have a $2,000 medication cost in January, instead of paying all of that at once, you could pay approximately $167 per month over the course of the year. However, these monthly payments can vary significantly based on when you do fill your prescriptions, as you can see by these example calculations from Medicare. Overall, this payment plan is designed to make managing medication expenses more predictable and less burdensome for beneficiaries. In addition to these coverage changes for you, the consumer, insurance companies will also face increased financial responsibilities heading into next year. In 2025, Part D insurance companies will be responsible for 60% of medication costs in the final catastrophic phase of coverage, compared to just 20% in recent years. All of these changes to the Part D system in 2025 will certainly lead to higher monthly premiums on average for Part D plans, which, as we mentioned, will directly impact the cost of your overall Medigap and Part D combination of coverage and add even more pressure to those higher than average Medigap premium increases that many are already facing. For instance, if you're currently paying $150 per month for a Medigap plan, and that plan has an increase of 9%, which is far from unheard of in 2024, your monthly cost would rise to $163.50 per month. Now, if we combine this with a potential example increase to your Part D premium from $10 per month to $30 or more per month due to 2025 changes, now all of a sudden you're looking at an additional $33.50 per month in higher cost for your Medigap and Part D coverage. This hypothetical but realistic example would result in your Medigap and Part D costs increasing by a combined 21% from 2024 to 2025. And this does not even include Part B premiums, which are likely to increase going into next year. Due to these rising costs for Medigap and Part D coverage, we anticipate that more people will seriously consider Medicare Advantage plans as an alternative. We predict the overall enrollment numbers for Medicare Advantage plans to grow compared to Medicare Supplements, just like the trends shown by Telos Actuarial in their Future of Medicare Supplement report. Medicare Advantage plans, they do have their own problems with rising costs and issues with prior authorizations and claims denials, as we have discussed in other videos, but industry projections, they continue to show the growing popularity of Medicare Advantage enrollment. The Kaiser Family Foundation, they even project that as soon as 2028, 60% of eligible individuals might be enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan, compared to just roughly 54% today. This overall trend of increasing Medigap and Part D costs leading to increases in Medicare Advantage enrollment was even referenced by Aetna during their recent first quarter earnings call, as you can see here.
As we think about those seniors that are currently in the market to purchase a bundle, that the cost of that bundle is going to rise pretty dramatically for them, which may, even with a less robust set of benefits, make Medicare Advantage a attractive option in 2025.
In our opinion, this shift of enrollment from Medigap to Medicare Advantage plans will just put further stress on the overall Medigap system. But why do we think this? Well, based on our personal experience, individuals who are more likely to want to change from a Medigap plan to a Medicare Advantage plan, they're generally healthier on average and have lower overall medical costs. Therefore, they are more likely to be enticed by extra benefits and low premiums with Medicare Advantage plans in exchange for potentials for higher medical out-of-pocket costs. The shift of healthier individuals switching to a Medicare Advantage plan would put further pressure on the loss ratios of Medigap plans that we discussed earlier. For example, if we have a group of 10 people and we'll say 5 are relatively healthy while the other 5 are relatively unhealthy, this would result in an even 50% mix of members with higher than normal medical costs and 50% with lower than normal medical costs. Then, let's say 3 of the 5 relatively healthy members decide to change to a Medicare Advantage plan and the other 5 so-called unhealthy members do not change. This would leave 5 members with high healthcare needs and just 2 with lower medical costs. This would mean that now 71% of overall remaining plan members would have higher than average medical needs. If the overall percentage of enrollees with Medigap coverage have higher medical needs like this situation, this can increase the loss ratios for the plans. Again, this causes insurance companies to compensate by raising premiums, which then causes more consumers to consider Medicare Advantage, and the vicious cycle continues. Now, we need to be clear, we love the coverage that Medigap plans provide, and nothing provides more comprehensive coverage in our opinion. However, we talk to real people all the time who simply can no longer afford their Medigap coverage, or who simply don't want to pay higher premiums for that Medigap coverage anymore. There will always be comments on videos that Medigap plans are the only way to go, but you have to choose which option works best for you based on your unique health and budget needs. Like always, we are here to give you the information and then you have to decide what to do with it. Remember, if you do decide to switch from a Medigap plan to a Medicare Advantage plan for the first time ever, you may have a 12-month trial period, which would let you return to your previous Medigap plan without health questions, or another Medigap plan if your previous plan is no longer offered. One of the first steps that you can take to help with the affordability of your Medigap coverage is evaluate your options. Consider switching to a different Medigap plan that might be more affordable. This could mean changing to a new Medigap plan with the same plan letter and the same coverage, but with a new insurance company at a lower premium. Or you could change to a new Medigap plan with different coverage than what you currently have. For instance, if you are currently with a Plan F, you'll probably find that Plan G has these similar benefits at lower cost. Alternatively, Plan N or a high deductible Plan G could provide even more significant savings compared to Plan F and Plan G while still offering substantial coverage. Remember, in most states, you will likely have to go through medical underwriting and answer health questions to qualify for a new Medigap plan, which we detail in this video. However, here on the screen are some current states that might allow you to change from one Medigap plan to another without medical underwriting. Managing your Part D costs effectively can also make a significant difference for your Medigap and Part D coverage heading into 2025. Make sure to pay extra close attention to your Part D annual notice of change, which will be mailed to you by your plan by the end of September. This document will detail how your current Part D plan will change headed into 2025. No matter how your current plan is changing, please make sure that you do a Part D analysis using Medicare.gov starting as soon as October 1st so you can compare the overall cost of all the Part D plans available to you. We will also publish a video on October 1st giving you a step-by-step guide for this process. Additionally, consider discussing with your doctors whether there are alternative, lower-cost medications that could work for you. If there are not, you can also contact the prescription manufacturer to see if they directly provide financial assistance programs. Or you can even apply for the federal Part D Extra Help program if you're below the income and resources limits. Remember, premiums are important, but what you pay out of pocket for medications will also have a big impact on your overall spending. Just don't think that dropping Part D coverage entirely is the answer. Unless you have other types of creditable Part D coverage, this would leave you vulnerable to being prescribed new medications throughout the year without coverage, and it would also leave you vulnerable to a lifetime Part D penalty if you try to re-enroll in Part D coverage in the future. Lastly, if the rising cost of Medigap plans simply becomes too burdensome, as we mentioned before, you should probably consider a Medicare Advantage plan in your area. We have many videos about how to choose a Medicare Advantage plan, but you should evaluate each plan carefully and consider speaking with an independent broker to analyze the pros and the cons of Medicare Advantage plans based on your individual circumstances.